you. Just a little bit of introduction, and because I travel in different circles, I know a lot of people in the room, and some people I don't know, but it's great to be here. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited for Rutgers wrestling. I've known Scott for a long time, ever since he was competing against us for Team New Jersey. Obviously, I've known John for a long time. He's wrestled at Blair. He's not a petty guy. He's a Blair guy. Let's get that straight. This is my 26th year at Blair. I've been there over half my life, which I guess I can call myself a New Jerseyan. I grew up in, I moved quite a bit when I was a younger kid. I started wrestling in Rhode Island, and you can imagine the difficulties that I had in that particular state when there are only 32 teams that have wrestling. So I grew up in a state that did not have a great tradition for wrestling. It's very good in hockey, and most of the kids my age played hockey. I moved up from Florida when as a young kid, so they used to stick me in the goal, and I wouldn't have skates on. I'd have my work boots on, so it was quite a growing experience for me. Fortunately, I hooked into some people that showed me a lot of wrestling, and if I show you the technique, I can probably tell you where I got this technique from and how I played with it. Well, one thing that I do with my wrestling is I break down things, I think about it quite a bit, I analyze, I look at video, and I try to give my kid the best that I possibly can on every day I try to go into the room. I will say that I have a large passion for the sport, and I better because I pretty much do it 11 months out of the year. I used to coach lacrosse, and I loved playing it when I was a kid. But it just came up where I was just so busy in the spring. I'd have a lacrosse game on Saturday, and I'd be bringing kids to a tournament on Sunday. So it became very difficult. At Blair, I'm in a pretty good situation. I have a group of kids that are very motivated. They are really determined. They know what they actually want to get out of high school. Academically, it's really tough, so they're pushed in a lot of different areas. They are able to understand what they need to do to be successful in college. And my biggest job is to prepare them for college. And so I know I'm on a different scale from a lot of you, but I know a lot of you can take this back to your own teams and how you prepare your kids. I prepare them academically, I prepare them nutritional-wise, I prepare them how to train, I prepare them in strength training. I have to talk to them about sleep all the time, and the biggest thing, what I think right now, is having them make the right choices. And I spend a lot of time on talking to them about making the right choices for life. And as you are well aware, it's crazy times out there right now, and being able to have them really think about what they're doing and making decisions that can change their life is probably the most crucial thing that you can do. As coaches, whether you want it or not, these kids look up to you, and they respect you, and for a lot of them, your word is gold, so you have to remember that. And the way that you approach practice every day, you have to remember that. I would say that I'm a big-time disciplinarian. I'm old school all the way. I run a tough practice. I expect a lot out of them every day of practice. But one thing that I do before practice, every practice we go into, I meet with them. And I tell them exactly what I want to try to do that day and what we want to accomplish. We have two wrestling rooms. One's a 42 by 67. Another one's a 42 by 67, but only has 4 seconds of mat. So I have a lot of mat space for 40 kids, which I'm pretty excited about. But before practice, there's a lobby in between our two rooms where I meet with them. And part of this is to change the mindset of where they're going into practice. And the reason that I do that is I hate walking to a wrestling room when you see guys laying on the mat, sleeping before practice, or doing things that you don't want to have in your practice room. When I step in the room, I want to change gears. I want them immediately to go into their warm-up, and they do that. I do talk to them about before practice and after practice, because they're not the type of, you know how your wrestlers are. One thing goes in one ear and out the other. What our plans are for that particular week, what time they have to be for at a certain time to meet when we're leaving for our match, what time weigh-ins is, blah, 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 blah. communication is, I think, essential. What I do, which is the same as Scott does, is I change my practice every day. I never try to do the same thing day after day, and I try to change up as much as I possibly can. Different wrestling, different technique, a different style, sometimes even a different mount, where I'll have somebody from the outside come in and teach something. And I really like that because I think, as a coach, I'm always evolving. I'm trying to always add something to what I'm doing. And I've been coaching for 28 years. For doing that, it always keeps me fresh. And the one thing that really has kept me fresh lately is the chain freestyle rules, and that kept me really fresh in the center of the ball. So I try to run a different practice every day. In the off seasons, like here at Rutgers, I run workouts for our kids that aren't involved in another sport. We have a lot of kids that play football, a lot of kids that play soccer, a lot of kids that play cross country, and then we have a small group of about 15 kids that aren't playing a fall sport right now. 3 times a week we're lifting. It's my workout, and they're not going to deviate from it. If they want to add to it, that's up to them. We do a great deal of periodization, meaning that we go from repetitions of 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and then we start it back up over again. I concentrate on a couple of body parts per workout, and just like in wrestling practice, each time it's going to be a different workout. After we spend a lot of time for it, so I brought some of my medicine balls and some of my other things, which will go with those a lot. I try to get out of the weight room as much as I possibly can. I like the kids to go outside when it's nice. I like for them to take pictures. I like for them to have a good time. So I have a lot of equipment that we throw that are, this no legs on. Do caber tosses with them. I actually run right through campus with them. And part of that is I want them to be visual. I want to see people. I want to show people how hard these guys work. I have sledgehammers. I have sandbags. Anything that I can get that they can pick up and throw. Hand strength is really crucial. I have ropes in our room. I have 5 vertical ropes and 1 horizontal rope. The horizontal rope goes from one corner to the other corner. They have to crawl up the rope, and then they've got to get across the rope. And there are 3 ways they can get across it. One, they go backwards where their feet are going like this. Unbelievable for back and hand strength. Another time they get up and they do a Navy SEAL across. And the third one is they go hand to hand right across the rope. It's something that you can't do in a weight room. I know a lot of places are worried about it because of liability. I put the ropes in and then asked the question because I knew what the answer would be. They would say no. And when trying to do these things, I know you have to go through liability questions. But then after I had it in, I brought the AD in. He looked at it and he goes, "You got to be kidding me." And I said, "Well, watch." And I showed him the safety that was involved in it. Do kids fall off it? Yes, but if you spot them right, and once they get really good, they can do a lot of it. We have vests over here that we put vests on them. They go up the vertical ropes different ways. They go hand to hand and then down hand to hand. And guys like Zach Esposito, when he first came in the room, he'd get up the rope about this high. By the end of the year, he was a monkey on the ropes. I couldn't believe all the things that he can do on the ropes. And that's, by how much fun he had on the ropes, we kind of changed some of our rope workouts too. So, as I said before, things really evolve, and how you create things can really evolve. I like using sledgehammers. I mean, just think about using the back muscles in this way, and all the motions that you get right here that are working the core courses. And you will be surprised the number of kids that can't swing a sledgehammer. It blows my mind. The first thing I say, you've never had a job before because you can't swing these sledgehammers. But I have 3 different size sledgehammers. I call it caveman training. I try to do as much of it as possible. I had a guy come up to me this year and he said, "What can I do for you?" And I'm always thinking about what can I add to my program. And I said, "I want 6 wheelbarrows." And he goes, 6 wheelbarrows? What do you want 6 wheelbarrows for? I said, "I want to put something in the wheelbarrow and make our guys run with the wheelbarrows all the time." So he got me these big, huge double wheelbarrows. The first time I got it, I go, "That is too easy." So I took one of the wheels off and converted it to a 1 wheelbarrow. And right now we're going up the hill is really tough, but going down the hill is even tougher. The stability that they have to do. And this is me fooling around with it right now. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm liking it. I am really liking it. Their backs are sore, their hands are sore, their arms are sore, their shoulders are sore. When they run up hills, their calves are sore. So it's training a lot of different muscles and things that you can't quite do in the wrestling. And once again, we're outside. Once again, there are people watching, and part of it is that mindset that you want to get as a wrestler too, of going out and working hard. And that's the one thing that I'm trying to teach my kids. I want to teach them how to work hard. I want to teach them that hard work will pay off in the end, because all of you know about the sport. Those who work hardest are usually more successful, and there's a lot of how you measure success too. My big goal for every year is to have every kid improve. That's my major goal. And you might say, God, he's probably trying to be undefeated, or he wants to be ranked #1 in the country. I never even talk about it. I never talk about it once. I could care less. My goal is to get my kids ready for college. That's my biggest aspiration. I want to try to schedule teams that we're going to get the best competition that we can. I want my kids to take losses. They learn more from a loss than they do from a win. And it's kind of crazy that you hear me say that, but think about it. When you were a wrestler, did you learn more by beating a kid, or did you learn more by losing a kid? And I think that you understand exactly what you need to work on and the things that you need to do to be successful. So I try to push them to that limit. If I had my druthers, I would not have the schedule that I have right now. We do too much, and we go back-to-back weekends, and they're crazy weekends. We wrestle at the Ironman tournament in Ohio on Friday and Saturday, then we come back the next weekend, and on Saturday and Sunday we wrestle at the BCP's tournament. I am not a huge advocate of the BCP's tournament. It's a tournament of mental toughness. You have to get up at 6:30, well, weigh-ins are at 6:30 in the morning, the first morning on Saturday morning. And you got to be ready to wrestle by 8:30 in the morning. You're in the gym till 9, 10, sometimes 11 o'clock at night. Weigh-ins the next morning at 6:30 in the morning. If you have a kid that's having trouble making weight, you've got to get them up at 4:30 in the morning. You're probably not getting them to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning. So, rest is crucial up until that point, and how you train your kids up until that point it's something that you have to get a feel for, knowing when they need rest. The Ironman tournament is a really great tournament. There's not as much fluff. The competition is exceptional. You can meet round of 16, round of 8 in the semis, and you have to be on your game. And unfortunately, it's too early for New Jersey teams to go to. And I was hoping that you guys would have an opportunity to go to this tournament, because it's one of the best. It's at Walsh Jesuit Gym. This is bigger than their gym. And they put about 3,000 people in the gym for the finals. They run the two tournaments in two gyms. They have 8 mats going on at the same time. Everything in the tournament is electronic, and it's great for wrestling. Nobody's running bounce slips back and forth. It's all done wireless. In corners of the wrestling room, in the gym, one gym and in the other gym, they have automatic updates on scores. As soon as you click a button at the table, it shoots it to the computer, and then it goes up to the screen. 10 seconds after a match, there are automatic score updates. So you can imagine what it's like going through this tournament. And the kids understand scoring a lot better, because they start asking, okay, how much do I get for this, how much do I get for this, and they understand that getting 2 points for a fall is huge, and especially in that type of a tournament. But it's great for the fans. And we've been going back and forth with St. Ed's and Brandon, and this year it looks like St. Paris Reno. But it's fun to watch these tournaments as each match goes along. And somebody had a few years ago, we had a horrible quarterfinal round where all our studs got beat, and we had to come back through the consolations. And I will say that in both of these tournaments, they're one of the consolations. There's no question about these tournaments, they're one of the consolations. I go to them because I got to push my kids to that level. I got to bring them up to that level. That's one this time in October, we're working on a foundation. I'm trying to get them in the best shape that I possibly can for these 15 kids. If you have wrestlers that aren't doing anything right now, I would really push to get them in the highest fitness level that you possibly can right now. And that's something that I do. What I do during the season is I slow things down. I really slow things down, especially between the Beast, the East, and the Ironman tournament. I slow things down to almost a halt. Their bodies need to recover. Rest is crucial. Wrestling coaches don't think that way all the time. They're always grind, 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 grind. So I use rest as part of our training. I use also getting out of the wrestling room as part of our training. I am crazy when we get during the middle of the season. I'm always constantly going, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do this. Every year I say to myself, I'm going to take Wednesdays off and we're going to train outside the wrestling. I'm going to give my guys a break, physical break, and do something outside of the room. I don't hold myself to that every year. I try to do it, but I want to give them a break during the middle part of the season, and Wednesdays are that time. One thing that I have done with our schedule is I've eliminated week matches. And I know that's a really hard thing to do if you're in a league, but the reason that I did it was academically Blair's so hard. And kids are making weight 2 and 3 times a week. It took away from our training, and it took away this Wednesday thing that I was trying to do also. But, I would still try to work in times where, I try to keep those kids rest. And I treat every kid in the room differently, but I treat them the same. If I see somebody that's tired and come to practice and they're looking tired, I'm not afraid to give them a day off. And they'll fight me, because sometimes I go, you need to take a week off, or you need to stay away from competition right now. Things aren't going right for you. I mean, you have to look at your kids differently all the time, and what's going to work for them and what's not going to work for them. But academically, it's really tough during that week to keep your grades up, to maintain everything that you want to do. If you have to make weight on Tuesday, then Thursday, then on Saturday. And then what happens to your training that entire week? It's very difficult. So that's one reason that I've tried to eliminate our Wednesday matches. If we have a Wednesday match, or if we have a team that's not very good, I spread the wealth. I always spread the wealth. I want every kid that's in my program to go on the varsity mat and put a Blair singlet on. Now it's hard to do. I got 40 kids in the room, but I schedule a different way. I try to get good teams. I try to get really weak teams. But the one thing that I want the kids to feel when they're on our team is that they're a big part of our program. That's huge, because you never know. There's that one freshman that might go into a really, really, really good kid. And the last thing you want to do is to have them quit. And plus, it's such a great sport. What it's going to teach them, they're just phenomenal things. Coach Goodale asked me to work on turf. And I will tell you this, that I'm probably the most ADD guy in the room here, so I can easily get off track. And if you have a question with anything, feel free to ask it. And, I'm gonna go along at a fairly fast pace. If you want me to stop and show something, I'll be happy to do it. If I get off the subject, I'm fine with that. And like you, I really enjoy coming to these coaches' clinics. I try to go to as many as I possibly can, because, as I said before, I'm always evolving. No matter who I watch, I learn something from them, or I go back and I think about what I'm doing and how I can prepare my kids a little bit better. And, I gave you a quick run-through of things that I try to do. The main thing that I try to do with our kids throughout an entire year is to raise their fitness levels up, and I try to make them better athletes. I didn't even talk about this end of it. We do gymnastics almost every day. I brought in once already a gymnastic coach. I'm bringing her in for a second time next Monday. And this is the first one. We were working on the ability to bounce off the mat. And so I'm working on kids' explosion right there. And she's starting to understand what I'm doing with the gymnastic approach. But we were actually doing plyometrics off of boxes with cartwheels, front handsprings. It was really pretty amazing. And I am going to film this, because the first day I just sat back and I watched, and she goes, "You didn't like it, did you?" I said, "Why do you say that?" She goes, "You showed no emotion." I said, "I was sitting back and I was watching." I said, "All right, you got me. This is really good." Footwork drills, which I worked on flexibility. We're going to have moved away from it a little bit, but we have to do yoga with our kids once a week. So it's how you work all these things in your own program. You're going to have to find out because it's the biggest thing I have to do. I have to think about what I'm doing. A lot of other coaches ask me, how come you guys don't do more running? And I said, well, one, we don't have time. I don't have free time during the day where I can say to my kids, you need to put in this amount of running and you need to do this. I'm going to put my time into teaching wrestling. So you've got to pick and choose what's the program. And a huge aspect of the sport. So I just spend a lot on strength exercises, and our kids have really, you saw the bodies on our kids. If you watch Northampton wrestle and anybody's seen them, they're jacked up. You see, they're jacked up. They are spending a lot of time in the weight room. And maybe some of that. But, so that's what I'm to make it available to anybody that's out there. If you go on, and I hope you like and enjoy Flow Wrestling because that guy's our ESPN. This guy goes into a program and looks at it and dissects it, and he's been here to New Jersey a few times. He's been to Rhino Beach. He's been to that one school in Kenilworth. Early he went. He's in the back at the NCAA. He pissed Tom Brands off, which was fun, but he didn't get knocked out right there. And if you've ever had the opportunity to talk to Jay Robbins, you would understand this guy he thinks that on another level. What Martin Florine's done I think for wrestling is huge. Now, he had a set for putting on Flow Wrestling. So I've started doing it. I'm technically challenged. But I've started taking videos. I'm putting videos on that website. And I'll do it yesterday in a later session. But I put the kids through certain workouts. And I do a 3-man drill, which I think is a great way to go because one guy gets to rest, he gets to think about things, he gets to watch. It's a pretty cool concept. What we're doing. I know we're afraid of, and it's a mindset where they think that they train harder than anybody else, and their kids are more powerful than anybody else. And I want them to think that because of that. I've had so many college coaches come through and recruit our kids, and they see things that are going on. It's fun. Some of the email me. That's where I really love wrestling. I have a lot of kids that I've grown up to be college coaches. All right, let's start with Turks. Through the years, and for some reason, I like to become a so I would say this if people aren't fit on it, especially a leg attack. So first, I'm going on top of it, and I'm going to have his leg straddled. But then I'm going to go, throws off this part of the this leg with the leg that I have right here. So I have this side so he can't bring up a knee. I got all, my knees are together. I have this side frozen with my elbow right into his armpit. And now I go in between, it's down, their chest is down, and their hips aren't really doing anything. But you've got this. I'm trying to get a reaction, then I'm going to bring them another way. I hate to see kids like this. I get them like this. So now they can come off their feet. They can get off their feet. They're a lot more strong. They see their hips under here. When I'm together, this left hand is over here. I lift, heel, right heel to the mat. I really work. Try to keep them off their knees. And I think it's on top. And keep my position right here. Now, spot right here. And I'm going to pin him. Not only am I going to pin him, his arm is trapped right here. I don't want to be here. I took all the pressure off. It's hard to pin. Coming down, foot. And go ahead and start bridging it. He's pushing off this foot. Right here. I'm stepping through. Knee, never give in. This is now when I'm here, my hips are doing more work. I'm being nice. If you think about it, here's what go in our room, every kid can do it. Every kid can do it. First round, 27 cautions. 27 cautions. The nail and his hips. I'm having a hard time, and he's clamming up with his head underneath here. Last one, I might grab his foot right here. I gotta be careful. I'm gonna try to come up underneath his head. I'm still going this direction right here. This hand, I'm going around the front. Best angle. Off the whistle. I'm on high crotch position right here. This baby right down. It's acting like a block here. Put on places. I've been in this till he's back. Here. The other. And he's like, I hate this. Where my arms are straight. And, you know, this is a pretty good position. So I try to keep my arms straight like this. The majority of kids are going to end up going this way. And I got to work with this. Kills. 50-50 in high school. If you're John Smith and you're really good right there, your percentage of scoring there is going to be, I think in high school it's very tough. They don't do the team is. Ball, it's my turn. I'll go this way.
Do you go high then on the thigh, or do you catch the knee first and slide up?
You wrestle in the lane. I try to keep it the whole time. If it goes up high, I can move this leg around. See how I was able to get my arm underneath there? Remember, I lived in Jersey for 26 years, so they come out of my mouth like syndrome all the time. I'm in this situation, I clear. What I hate to see our kids do is this when they drill. I want them to do this arm right here. See this arm? They do this, you know what I'm talking about? Everything tight. I hate when they do the drill and